Hello guys, welcome back, and today we are going to conclude with our topic, that is trusses. We are going to take one example in which there will be a load which is applied to the required truss. The load we have already considered, that is a point load, but in this we are going to consider some different type of load and how the analysis is to be done. It will be a revision of what are the various methods in which we can find and how to analyze any problem given to us. So let us get started. I would like to remind you of subscribing to our channel and also liking this video. Please go and watch the other videos which are related to mathematics and electronics. We are going to upload many new subjects of engineering, so please subscribe to our page, like our videos, comment below if you have any doubts, and also you can contact me on my personal email address which is given in the about page. The about page will also feature about what are the videos which will be coming in the particular month. So let's begin with the today's problem, which will be a load which is attached to my truss. So let us try to analyze if I am having a uniformly varying load or a UDL which is kept on my truss or which is applied to the truss. You can see that there is a beam which is kept over here, and on that beam my UVL is being applied. So let us first draw the beam's FBD diagram. So I am having this particular beam. There will be a support reaction from the point because of this. That support reaction is basically going to be my contact force. So reaction force, which can be represented by RH at point H, and there will be a reaction force which is because of the point F. Now I have to represent this UVL using a single force. We know that a UVL is represented by a single force which has a magnitude of half into the maximum value, that is 20, into the length, which is going to be 4. The point of application of the UVL's force will be 1/3 of the total distance from the base. So this point, H point, is my base point, and from the base it will be 1/3 of 4. So it will be having a 4/3 distance from H, and my F is at the distance of 4. So basically I have to find the reaction forces at H and F, which will be given by summation M and summation F. Now the first I will pick up as my summation M. Now my summation M, I will be taking it about H. I can pick up any point, I can pick up F also, but then you have to calculate the distance of F for this particular force. So my summation MH will be equal to, because of this particular force about H, the force is moving the rod in the clockwise direction, so it will have a magnitude of minus. So minus, and the force is half, 20 into 4, into the distance from H, which is 4/3. From that, so this is for this particular force. Now for RF, it is moving the rod in the anti-clockwise direction, so it will have a positive magnitude, and it will be RF into 4. So because of this I can find my RF, because my summation MH will be having a value which is going to be 0 because it is in stable position. So I got my value of RF, which is 40/3 kilonewtons. It's positive, so the direction is going to be this one. Now for the other one, that is I have to find what is my RH going to be. So for RH I can take up summation Fy. If you see that there is no x coordinate, if you can observe, there are no forces which are going along x, so we won't be considering summation Fx. So we will be having only summation Fy as my equation. So in that I will be having my RH plus RF, because both of them are going in the positive y direction, minus this particular force, which is half into 20 into 4, this will be equal to 0. From this particular equation, I don't know RH. I will be getting the RH value as 80 by 3 kilonewton upwards. So these forces are basically the forces which is applied on the rod. When I'm going to consider the truss, the direction of these forces will be accordingly reversed because of the Newton's law, which is for every action there is an equal reaction. So at this particular point, the support is basically going to push this rod in the upward direction, and equal and oppositely it will push the truss also in the downward direction. Same way goes for my point H. So we have determined what are the reaction forces at my point F and H. So basically you have converted my UVL into point forces which is at the joint. So just let us replace those. So now I have replaced that UVL into a 2-point force system. In this particular problem, I have to find all the reactions or all the forces which are present in this particular members of the truss. So for that, obviously I have to go by joint method. So in joint method, we know that we have to find the reaction forces at the supports. So let us try to find the reaction forces by replacing the supports by their forces. Now I have replaced my support with their particular reaction. This was my roller support, so it is replaced by only one force. This was my hinge support, so it is replaced by its horizontal and vertical components. So let me try to analyze the reaction forces. So the first step for reaction forces, you have to find moment about certain point where you will be eliminating two unknowns in it. So you can see that point is my point A. So you can eliminate the unknowns, which is VA and HA, and you will be having only one unknown in that equation, that is RC. So you will find summation MA equals 0. So my summation MA will be given by, first of all, let us see what is because of RC. RC is going to move this particular truss in the anti-clockwise direction, so it will have the magnitude positive. So I will have a positive RC, which is the magnitude of the force, into the distance, which is 4.5. The next force is because of these point forces. So you can see that both of them are moving it in the clockwise direction, so both will have the magnitude as negative, and the value will be given by, for this particular force, it will be 80 by 3 into the distance, which is 2, and this will be minus 40 by 3 into the distance, which is basically 6. This thing will be equal to 0. So I will be getting the value of my reaction force by 29.63 kilonewtons in this particular direction. Now for the other two, I will be considering my summation Fx and summation Fy. So for summation Fy, let me consider summation Fy. For that I am having this negative VA, negative 80 by 3 and negative 40 by 3, because all of them are going towards the negative y-axis. This equated to 0. I will get the value of VA as minus 40 kilonewton, but since it is having a negative value, that means whatever I had assumed the direction of my VA is actually wrong, and it should be the opposite one. So that gives me a 40 kilonewtons, but in the upward direction. Next, the last one, that is summation Fx. For summation Fx, I will be considering HA, RC and nothing else. So it will be HA plus RC equals 0. So because of that, I will get my HA as minus of RC, which is 29.63 kilonewtons. since I'm getting a negative, I'm going to change the sign and show the direction which is going to be opposite to that what I have shown. So this is my calculation for my reaction forces. Now let us go for the joint method. Before going to joint method, let us try to analyze or apply the knowledge of zero force member. So let us try to identify the zero force member. If you see at point F, there is a force which is attached to it. That is a point force of 40/3 which is attached to my F. And these two are the members to members. But so this does not form my second type, which was if there are only two members at the end and there is no force, then those will be zero. So basically this particular are not my zero force member. So when you come to point G, you can see that there are three members attached to point G, and of which the two members are in linear form with each other, and the third one is a non-linear. So that is why these particular forces will be equated to each other, and my force in GE will be a zero force. So that basically means my member GE is a zero force member. Now if we come at point E, you are having this as zero force member. So again, this particular analysis, you are having three members attached to that point, because if this is zero, then that can be considered as redundant, or it can be removed from that particular equation. So since you are having a three force member and of these two members are linear with each other, then this becomes my zero force member. So since that becomes a zero force member, if you come at point B, again by same thing, this becomes a zero force member. So because of this zero force member concept, what you have achieved is you have removed basically my three members to be calculated. If you go into the further analysis of these zero force members, what you can see is that the forces in my GF and GH will be equal to each other. So my FGF will be equated to FHG. Same way, this particular will be equal to each other. So that means my FEF will be equal to FED, because of this particular zero force member. And if you see at point H, you are having this zero force member. So this becomes a system of three members attached to a point H, and there is a load of 80/3. So from this you can get two equations, that is my FAH will be equal to FHG. So basically you're going to get this equation as equal to FAH. So what you can see is that at point H, you can see that there is this FHD which is applied to it, and there is a force which is at 8/3 applied to that. So they can be equated to each other, and since this force is downwards, my HD will be towards the joint H, and so that is why my force in HD will be a compression force. When you come to point B, you will be getting FAB will be equal to FBC. So because of this zero force member itself, you have got one of the force right there itself, and if you just calculate one of these, you will be getting the other easily. So your calculation process has reduced, and number of steps are also reduced by doing a simple analysis, which is my zero force member analysis. So then afterwards, then you can go and proceed by any method, like method of joints or section. But since I have to calculate the members, every member in this particular truss, it will be feasible for me to go by method of joints. So I can choose any particular joint wherein there will be at most only two unknowns present. So I can choose my point F, wherein I have the unknowns these and these. Now let us consider the joint F. There is a pin load which is attached to it, which is 40/3 kilonewtons, and there are these forces in the member. Now while taking direction also, you can have a pretty much analysis that can be done if you are having some simple case like this. Like you can observe that this particular force direction and magnitude is known. So for this force, the compensation can be done by only this particular force, because this force is basically along totally in the x direction. So to compensate this force has to be in this direction. So basically the force in my member Fe will be a compression force. Now since I have decided this direction, you can see that to compensate the x component of this force, the force in my GF should be a tension force. You can basically take in any direction according to your needs. This type of analysis will help you to reduce the complications which are present because of the change in my signs or change in the direction in the forces. So if you do just simple analysis, if you just do some observation while calculating the forces in the truss, you can reduce the amount of step and also reduce the amount of complications which are present in that problem. So let us try to analyze this. I require this theta. You can observe from the figure that my theta is basically this particular angle in the triangle. So it will be basically tan inverse of this distance, that is 1.5, divided by this particular distance, which is 4. So my theta will be having the value of tan inverse of 1.5 by 4. So I can go for my summation Fy. The reason I'm going for summation Fy is because I will be directly getting the value of Ffe in that. So summation Fy equated to 0, I will be getting Ffe minus 40 by 3. Okay, I have made a mistake over here. That is Ffe, its component. So if you can just analyze, it's going to be the sine theta component of it. So it is sine theta Ffe minus 40 by 3 equal to 0. So I will get Ffe as the value 37.97 kilonewtons. Now since it is going towards the joint, it's going to be a compression force. If you can recollect, my Ffe, that is force in Fe, was equal to the force in member Ed. So that is why I have got these two equations directly. So basically I have found out the members, these two members in one go itself. Now next one is summation Fx. When I am calculating summation Fx, I will be considering these two forces only, because there is no component of this particular force in the x direction. So I will be having a negative Fgf plus Ffe cos theta equal to 0. So I will be getting the value of Fgf, which is equal to 35.56 kilonewton. This particular force was equal to this force and also the force in this member. So basically I am getting the value of my force in GH and also force in AH. So all of them will be in tension. So after going for joint F, we can go and choose my joint D, because if I am considering D, I know this particular force. I also know this particular force, which is my 80 by 3. So because I know these particular force, the only unknown remaining is these two forces, because this is my zero force member. So let me draw that joint. So this are the I can see at point D there are basically 4 forces which are acting at that point. It will be pretty difficult to analyze what will be the direction of the unknowns in this particular case, but then also I have taken that they are all in compression. So whenever the analysis is not possible, you can assume the direction, and if you are getting a negative, then you have to just change that direction. So I will be requiring what are the angles made by these forces and this particular force. But if you analyze this, that this force is basically, this angle is basically my theta angle. So this force is making a theta angle, which we had already calculated what theta was. I can take this particular angle as my phi and this as my xi. This will be my xi. So if I want to calculate what is my phi, I have to go back to this particular diagram. So this is my phi. So my phi will be equal to tan inverse of 1.5 upon 2. So phi is tan inverse of 1.5 by 2, and my xi will be equated to tan inverse of, my xi is present over here. So xi will be equal to 3 by 2, tan inverse of 3 by 2. So after all the angles of the forces are known, we can go for my summation fx, summation fy. So let us see what is my summation fx going to be. So summation fx equals 0 will have me the equation, will get me the equation that is going to be FDC cos xi plus FAD cos phi will be equated by this particular force, that is minus 37.97 cos theta equal to 0. So this particular goes on that side and I get this particular equation. From this I won't be able to get any value as such, so I have to consider my second equation, that is my summation fy equals to 0. So when I'm considering summation fy equals to 0, I'll be getting a minus FAD sin phi plus FDC sin xi minus 80 by 3 minus 37.97 sin theta equal to 0. So if it is equating to 0, then this is the equation I'm going to get. So if I solve simultaneously my equation 1 and 2, I'll be getting the values of my unknowns, that is FAD and FDC. So I'm getting the value of FAD and FDC, both came positive. So my assumption was right, that is both of them were in compression. So I have got the value of FAD and FDC. So the only unknown left is my value of this particular member. So for that I can just consider my point C. If I do that analysis, I will be getting the value of my force in the member BC, and my BC, force in the member BC, is equal to force in the member AB. So if I just get this particular force, I will be getting that particular force, and all the forces will be known to me. So if I go for joint C, you will be getting the value of FBC as 44.44 kilonewtons as tension. You can just do it on your own, it's a self-study for you. So this is how analysis of any truss problem can be done. So if you go and follow this particular step, it will be much easier for you to calculate the trusses, because the problem of trusses is that it becomes a lengthy problem if you are solving it by a method of joints. These are the various tricks which you can apply while solving the problems based on trusses. We'll be seeing many more videos related to other topics in engineering mechanics. The next topic which we'll be taking will be uploaded soon, and it will be posted in my about page. What is the next topic going to be? If you have any doubts related to this topic, you can just comment below. Please like the video, please subscribe to the page so that you can get immediate updates of the uploaded videos. Please go and see the other videos also related to different topics, that is currently we are dealing with mathematics and electronics. So please like, share and subscribe and keep learning. Thank you.